Welcome to Lose Weight, Feel Great, Amplify Your Energy and Feel Radiant Again. Simple changes to create a healthier you and transform your life. My name is Joanna Peterson, and I created this summit to inspire people to reach their optimum health. I'm here today with Dr. Ellen Albertson. Hello and welcome.
Hi, it's great to be here, and I love what you just said, inspiring people to reach their optimal health, that we're not focusing so much on the number on the scale, but really talking about well-being. So I'm excited to talk with you and share my experience and knowledge and see how we can help other women to really be their best selves.
Thank you, and I want to introduce you a little bit more. Dr. Ellen Albertson is a psychologist, a nutritionist, a transformational coach as well, Reiki master, and a registered dietitian as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I have both. I marry both the sort of the conventional medical training of being a psychologist, a nutritionist, and a board certified health and wellness coach, but I'm also very spiritual. I'm a Reiki master and really incorporate spirituality into the work that I'm doing, because we're all spiritual beings, whether we are actually practicing, we all want to have that in our lives, and it really can help people to take better care of themselves.
Wonderful. Can you tell me a little bit more about you?
Sure. Well, I've been a dietitian for 25 years, and I think that's really where I sort of entered the field in terms of helping women and weight. And for a large percentage of that time, I actually had eating disorders myself. I was anorexic, or I was a restrictive eater. I also was an athlete and a jock, and was working as a personal fitness trainer, really pushing and beating my body up all the time. So I kind of came from this background wanting to help other women by, beating, basically go to the gym, work out harder, eat less, putting them on diets. And then, what happened to me is I discovered something called self-compassion, which is essentially treating yourself like a good friend, being kind to yourself rather than judgmental. I was looking for a dissertation topic, ironically, to help women feel better about their bodies and themselves. I connected with a woman named Kirsten Neff, who is the kind of pioneer in this area of self-compassion, did research on it, and really started practicing, and it totally transformed my life, and it transformed my body. I went from a place of really, when my body is a certain way, then I'll feel good about myself, to I'm going to start feeling good about myself now. And then all my body image stuff went away. It wasn't like I was overweight or my body wasn't okay, but I didn't feel okay. Body image is all in your mind.
Right.
So self-compassion really transformed my relationship with my body, my relationship with myself. And I'm just a happier, more joyful person who doesn't have restrictive eating and doesn't over-exercise anymore. So it's kind of my story that, things look good on the outside, but underneath it, there's a lot of self-loathing. And so I went really from self-loathing to self-love. And that's really what I help other women do now.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I completely agree. When we don't love ourselves, we can't radiate that out, and we can't help other people or even show them as much love. But once we love ourselves, we're so much more connected.
Yes, but it's hard to learn to love yourself. That's why I like the self-compassion piece, because if you just say, you hear a lot, love yourself, like where do you start? And so what I teach women, and this is part of, I have a 6-part signature program, is being kind to yourself. So start with this idea. If you're going to take one thing away from today's talk, it's really thinking about how would I treat a good friend? So if something happens to you, if you're stressed out, to take a moment and pause and think, gee, if this happened to a good friend of mine, what would I say to her? What would I do versus what you typically do yourself? And that's kind of really where the conversation starts, of turning to yourself so you can, as you said, develop that self-love.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard about Louise Hay talking about mirror work, looking in the mirror and telling yourself, I love you, you look beautiful?
Yes, it's very, very powerful. I think when people start doing it, they feel a little silly. Mm-hmm. But, over time, looking yourself in the eye and just saying, you are a beautiful human being. You are perfect the way you are. I love and care about you. It really starts to penetrate. Words are very, very powerful. They're part of energy. Mm-hmm. So everything is energy, but our thoughts and our words really resonate with us and with everything and everyone we come into contact with. So mirror work is a wonderful place to start for people who are listening and wanting to feel better about themselves and start to really generate that self-love.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about why diets don't work?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of reasons that they don't work. Mm-hmm. One of the main reasons they don't work is that when you're hungry, when you put yourself on a diet, you're hungry and you want to eat. And so if you're trying to eat right when your hunger is out of control, it's very difficult to make smart choices. Like when I work with clients around weight loss, I always tell them decide what you're going to eat in the restaurant before you get there. Because if you arrive hungry, you're going to order something very different. When you go food shopping, go with a list and make sure you shop on a full stomach. So what dieting does is it puts you, first of all, in this place where you are starving. And so if you're starving, all you're doing is thinking about food, and eventually the body's going to win out. It's kind of like I say to people, well, you know, do you stop yourself when you have to pee? Of course, you just go to the bathroom. But hunger is a physiological thing. And you can't just say, well, I'm on this diet, I'm eating this certain number of calories, and you know, I'm going to follow this. What's going to happen is hunger is going to kick in. So the first thing is that you get really hungry, and it makes it very difficult to eat right. The second thing is when you diet, you're actually telling your body that you're in starvation mode. Your body doesn't know that you're doing this so that you can lose weight, maybe improve your health, feel good in a bathing suit on the beach. Your body just thinks, oh my gosh, it's a famine. So what it does is it generates cortisol, which is the hormone of fight and flight. So you basically get into a stressed out mode. And there've been studies to show that dieting actually raises cortisol levels. So what cortisol does is it stresses you out, it increases appetite, it increases the deposition of fat around the middle. And so you're doing the exact opposite of what you don't want to have happen when you're trying to lose weight. The other piece too is that, you know, when I work with people, the thing I have them do is to focus on hunger and satiety. Your body has this beautiful ability to tell you when you're hungry and when you're full. And when you're dieting, what you're doing is you're externalizing that hunger. Instead of like listening to your body, you're saying I'm externalizing what I'm eating to this piece of paper that tells me I'm supposed to be eating, you know, 1,200 calories a day, or I'm supposed to be doing this intermittent fasting where I'm only eating certain hours. So it can really make you very hungry and crazy, and actually make you very unbalanced. And so all you're doing is thinking about food and focusing on it. What I have people do is, let's just focus on eating right and being healthy and feeling good, not worrying about the weight. The weight's going to get to a healthy place. If you take care of your body, everything's going to normalize and you're going to feel good. So to really not to go on any kind of diets, let alone those crazy 1,200 calorie diets, or those diets where you eat one day and fast the next. And all the research shows that dieting predicts weight gain, not weight loss.
Right, especially in the long run with the yo-yo dieting, the body knows on how to store the fat. And then every time you get on a diet, you lose the weight and then you gain more back. And so that's why diets don't work. And then how about emotional eaters? You know, do you have any advice on, especially women, when they had any kind of abuse or any emotional issues and they grab food to nurture that?
Right. Well, what I would say is if you're an emotional eater, what you need to do is to start to get in touch with your emotions. You know, in our society, we're taught that difficult emotions, you know, anger, sadness, frustration, any of those kinds of emotions, we're kind of told not to feel them. We're told, like, you know, when you feel those emotions, you know, eat, go shopping, watch TV, don't experiencing your emotions. So what I do with my clients and for the people listening is to ask yourself, you know, whenever you're about to eat, particularly if you're feeling this kind of craving, to ask yourself, first of all, am I hungry? And then ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? So to start to notice your emotions, and emotions are felt experiences in the body. So we often feel, you know, maybe a tightness in our jaw or our throat or our heart, particularly if we're feeling sad, or we might feel like butterflies in our stomach. So to notice where you're feeling it. So I have a little an acronym. The first thing is name it, you tame it. So name your emotion. If you're feeling kind of like agitated, you're feeling like, oh man, I need to eat that. Basically stuff the emotion down. Don't stuff it down. You'll be okay. You know, and, you know, I've never lost any clients because people started to feel their emotions. So first, name it, you tame it. So I have this beautiful emotional wheel that I give to my clients so that they can take a look and see, what am I feeling right now? So name it, you tame it, and then feel it, you heal it. So feel it in your body. Notice if it's coming and going. You might want to, if you have like a yoga practice or do Tai Chi, or you might want to take a walk to see if you can process the emotion in the body. to sort of allow it to process so it doesn't stay stuck. And then just let it come and go. So rather than just pushing it away because it's uncomfortable, if you can allow it to come and go, eventually it's going to dissipate. But what happens is if you're an emotional eater, you eat the food and then, you feel good while you're eating it because you're distracted. And the food also, it increases levels of hormones like dopamine that make you feel good. But then what happens is after you're done eating, not only do you still have the problem and still have the difficult emotion, but on top of it, you have all of that kind of guilt from overeating. So it actually makes the problem worse, not better. So tune into your emotions. Another thing I have people do is think about the acronym HALT, which stands for hungry, angry, anxious, lonely, and tired. So as I mentioned before, if you notice you're hungry, just think, is this really physical hunger? So physical hunger is usually you might feel something in your belly, your stomach might, be rumbly, you might feel a little lightheaded. So if you're noticing it's a physical reaction, sure, go ahead and eat, because what will happen is there's a feedback mechanism, right? You're hungry, like if you haven't eaten in a couple hours, you eat, you get full, you stop. But if you're angry or anxious, if you're lonely, if you're tired, and you eat the food, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
You're just going to keep eating. And so to start to really connect with your emotions. And that's something that people need help with. Feel free to contact me. I really love to teach people how to embrace and process all the emotions, that the good ones, the joy, the happiness, all of that, but also the difficult ones too.
Yeah. Do you have any advice on body imaging? Because especially in this country, because we have Hollywood here and all the movie stars, and I have clients that come to see me and like, well, can you help me achieve this body? Oh no, I can't, and plus it's not even real.
Right.
It's all Photoshop. But love your body, love your curves, love your boobs, love everything about yourself. And don't try to change that, because we can't be someone that we can't be. We're just special in our own bodies.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I think there's a intellectual piece, as you were saying, to really acknowledge that, first of all, the media puts these impossible images out there because they want women to compare themselves to the Giselles and the movie stars, the models, and then we feel bad about ourselves, and then we buy their products, whether it's a diet pill or some kind of magic bullet or some type of clothing or makeup. So understanding that the media does it on purpose, because, if you're not thin, white and young, then, you're not okay. So to understand that, that's a piece of it. But to go beyond that, this is what my research really showed, is that self-compassion, which I talked about earlier, learning to treat yourself like you would a good friend, actually kind of goes beyond the body image. So what my research showed is I had people listen to mindful self-compassion podcasts for 3 weeks, and we measured body shame, body appreciation, body dissatisfaction, self-compassion, and self-worth based on appearance. And what the research showed is that the body image actually improved because people were treating themselves kindly. So when you start to love and be kind to yourself, then you notice, I'm like beating myself up. You don't want to do that anymore. Because you wouldn't say to a friend, oh my God, you've got your thighs are jiggling, or, your stomach's not slim enough. Of course we would never say that. So as you start to develop this attitude of loving and caring and accepting yourself, then you start to accept your body automatically as a piece of it. And I think as I work, primarily with women at midlife, I really help women to get into like how your body functions. You have like 37 trillion cells that all are working to keep you alive. And so to start to appreciate like how your body feels and how it functions, and to get clothes that you feel good about. Like you said, to not say like I have to be a 6 or an 8 to be acceptable. You can be any size, and you can be healthy at any size. So to get away from this thin idea, I used to think when I, started out in this career that everybody should be, a certain body mass index or a certain size. And since I've been in this field for so many years, I've really realized it's like, when you compare like dogs, right? We've got Great Danes and we've got Chihuahuas. Some people are naturally slimmer than other people, and it doesn't make them less of a person. So to practice self-compassion, to accept your body as it is, to enjoy the physical pleasure of being in your body, and to, to not focus on that scale and that focus on health and well-being, and your body will get to a place, and to buy yourself beautiful clothing and to feel good about yourself exactly as you are. It takes time though, too. You have to be patient. I know I used to have terrible negative body image, even being very slim. Because body image again is up here, but by treating yourself like a good friend, the research really shows that it's not addressing the body image directly, but indirectly you start to feel really good about your body.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love it. That's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Well, thank you for the question. It's so important. And I love that you're doing this and teaching women that you can be healthy and you don't have to be a certain size. I mean, I think that's another piece, is that the thing that women are most ashamed about is their bodies and is their appearance. So to start to do other things that you feel good about, to develop other hobbies and interests and relationships where you're loved and you're accepted and you feel confident and you feel in flow, and then you realize, oh my gosh, there's other things about me besides my appearance that are important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't stuff your emotions. Treat food as medicine. Eat healthy. Treat this body with so much tender care and love. Yeah, and the fuel, everything that we're putting through our body, besides the image, stuffing it with foods that are preserved, lots of sugar, lots of carbohydrates. So if we start eating healthier, our mind works better too. It's the body and mind connection. So the cleaner the vessel, the cleaner the mind, and the better we feel about ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's really true. The body and mind really are connected. And I think it's so amazing when I work with women and we get away from this idea of dieting and the scale and points and calories. And then they start realizing, I like healthy food. Like when that was another piece about dieting, when you have all of these forbidden foods, you want them. But when you start eating healthy, like I don't eat a lot of junk because I don't like the way it tastes anymore. I like it when I eat something, like my biggest kick now is I'm making kombucha, which is a fermented beverage. Mm-hmm. And I drink it and it feels so good, and I've made it, and I've reiki'd it, and it just feels great to eat great food and go to farmers markets and meet the people who grew the food and be grateful when you're eating it and cook it with love in a simple, beautiful way, as you said. And you start to feel really good, and you start to thinking about my body like, my body's like a Cadillac. I don't have like a beat up VW. I'm not going to put Doritos in it. I'm going to put beautiful food that I really enjoy. And that's another piece, is just slowing down your eating speed, mindfully eating, enjoying every bite, being grateful to all the hands that went into preparing it, thinking about where it all came from. And food's just a beautiful part. Enjoying food is a beautiful part of being alive.
Yeah, I so agree with you. And some people are constantly on the go. They don't even sit down to eat. They go through drive-thrus. So just understanding, take care of this vessel, take care of this body, sit down. Because if you can digest your food because you're under stress constantly, then you're going to feel bloated. You're not going to be able to digest any of that, even absorbing your nutrients.
Right. Well, digestion starts in the mouth. And, when you take a moment, you say grace and you're grateful for the food. It's kind of like you're preparing your body and your mind to receive the food, slowing down, taking time, leaving your cell phone off, not eating in front of the TV, not eating in the car. That's why I work with a lot of my clients of mindful eating, intuitive eating. And even if you're listening and it feels like, oh my God, I can't do that. Just one meal a week start with. Mm-hmm. Maybe you want to take yourself out for lunch, or have a really nice breakfast, and just start with one meal to really set everything aside, set a beautiful table, and really slow down. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to catch up with your stomach. So we secrete hormones that tell us when we're full, and also our stomach expands, and that helps us to know that we're full. If we eat in like 5 minutes, we can really overeat if we eat quickly. So I've had so many clients who have transformed their bodies simply by slowing down, asking themselves if they're hungry still, pausing before they eat, during the meal, enjoying their food. And, and eating becomes something that's very pleasurable. I'm always amazed when people are struggling with their weight that they're not enjoying their food. Mm-hmm. They're eating crap at their desk, or as you said, at the drive-in or in their car. And making that change of really bringing some grace back into eating can really transform your body and your relationship with food.
Mm-hmm. There was a study done 10 years ago in Germany that when people play opera and they're eating, not only it enhances their cells in their body, their digestive system just starts working so much better. They can digest their food. They're sleeping better. And this is just through listening to Oprah while you're eating.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like some kind of soothing music or meditation or something during eating might be beneficial. I have to look at that research. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that before.
It's just like positive affirmations, just like when we're saying grace or we're blessing our foods. It changes the energetics of what we're eating versus just picking up the fork, shoveling it in, and then it just sits there like a rock.
Right. And it is interesting, you know, we were talking off air before about the spirituality, but eating is a really spiritual thing. You think about it, like all of us comes from sunlight. Like we're energetic beings. All of our food comes from the sun, whether we're eating plant foods that are, you know, growing because of photosynthesis, or we're eating animals that ate the plants, but it's all energy, and we're taking this energy in, you know, and when we, again, bless the food, take time to really enjoy it and be grateful for it, it interacts with us in a different way. So the quality is important too, but our attitude that we bring to the dining room is also very important.
Yeah, and then sleep, stress. How do we handle sleeping? Are we sleeping actually next to a TV, or are we falling asleep in front of a TV? What do we have a cell phone next to our nightstand? That all it has an impact on our health. It has an impact on our stress level and how our body functions throughout the day. The body cannot rest being next to all these electronics.
Yes, it definitely plays a role in our circadian rhythms. And then when we're not sleeping, in turn, that has an impact on our weight. So the research really shows when you're sleeping, your body generates appetite hormones. So it actually doesn't reset the hormones correctly. So you tend to overeat. And also if you're tired, sometimes people mess up the signals thinking, well, I'm tired. Maybe if I ate something, I would feel better. And you tend to have more, you know, sugar and caffeine to try to give you that little bit of a lift. So your body will excrete insulin to deal with all of that sugar. But then what will happen is you'll have a crash. So you get those kind of jagged, you know, you feel up and then down instead of being in a nice balanced place when you're sleeping right, when you're controlling your stress. So yes, your advice is amazing how many people sleep with their cell phones.
Yeah. Do you have a practice in the morning when you wake up, a spiritual practice? Do you meditate, get deep into your body?
Yes. I've been doing this thing for years called the 5 Tibetans. And it's, you can Google it. There's 5. And if you want more information, you can just shoot me an email. But there's these 5 different kind of stretching exercises that you do in the morning. You do 21 of each. So I do that first thing. And then I grab my meditation cushion and I usually sit for at least 15 minutes. I mean, sometimes it could be up to 45 minutes to an hour if it's the weekend and I have more time, really doing affirmations, being in gratitude, spending some time in prayer, and then just spending some time just being. I think that's a big issue with humans now, is that we don't spend a lot of time just being, whether it's walking in nature, sitting on a meditation cushion, being with friends. We're always so distracted by so much electronic stimuli, as we were saying. So I do that in the morning, and then I might do a little bit of journaling. And then I dive into, usually I get inspired, and so I can really dive into my social media. I have a lot of fans and followers, and so I try to inspire them with whatever came to me during my morning meditation and contemplation time. And so many people skip breakfast, and the body metabolizes calories very differently in the morning than it does in the evening. So if again, going back to that diet mentality where people think, well, I'm on a diet, so I'm going to starve myself all day. And then they get over hungry, and by 3 o'clock, they're having a candy bar. Much better to start your day. I work on that. It's something I do with almost all my clients, is to really get them eating breakfast. And it makes a huge difference in their energy and how they feel. And again, it has an impact, on their health and well-being and eventually their weight.
Can you tell us a little bit about the free gift that you were offering for the audience?
Absolutely. So I have created a 10 tips to rock midlife. So I primarily work with women between like 35 and 65. Midlife, I think, stretching out a little bit. And it's a time that can be very challenging for women. I think it's a time where we try to let go of who we think we're supposed to be and think about embracing who we are. We want to be more authentic. We want to have great energy. We're kind of taking a lot of things we learned early in our lives and sort of reinventing ourselves. So it's wonderful tips, and it also gives you an opportunity to work with me, just to do a complimentary session if you're struggling, whether it's, I generally work with weight, I work with careers, I work with relationships, and just work with women just having more fun and enjoying their lives and just feeling as good as they can, feeling confident, feeling joyful, feeling energized, and having more clarity about how to move forward. So I would love for people to receive that. It's actually got a lot of really wonderful information in it.
And for the audience, please check out drellenalbertsons.com, her website. She's got amazing information on there. And I mean, everyone that finds you, it's a gem. It's finding you is a gem.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you can't find many people that are basically doing everything. You know, they taking care of the body, the emotional part, the nutritional aspect, everything. So thank you for all the wonderful work that you're putting out there, and all the help that you're helping people.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for the wonderful summit. I think this is such an important topic, and there are just so many people who have been suffering and been on and off diets and feel bad about themselves. If you're listening, it's really all about ditching the diets, working on being healthy, and just not worrying about the scale either. I find what happens is if you've struggled a lot, even starting this journey can be very stressful. So start small with something that's manageable, just with, a 5 or 10 minute walk, or just a green smoothie in the morning. And every week build on specific things that you can do to feel better. And I'm sure somebody is going to provide people with dozens and dozens of wonderful suggestions. So thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored.